You're here with
Questions for Rhett?
All right, well, now the camp's basically unofficially over. What's your assessment for the camp portion practice?
I think overall it was a good camp. You know, offensively we were fortunate to get through without any major injuries, which is good. You know, obviously other than Al, who we knew coming in wasn't going to be around. And I think we got to accomplish what we needed to. We got some good work, had a lot of carryover from the older guys. We got to really see what a lot of the younger guys could do. And really, overall, very pleased with our freshman class on the offensive side of the ball. Feel like all those guys are what we thought they were, or maybe even more. So that was positive. And now you get to these last couple of days of camp, coaches, players, everybody's tired of it. So now we get to give them a day off tomorrow, let them get school started, and really 100% focus in on Arkansas.
Which of those freshman guys now do you feel like that you think are going to be able to help?
Well, you know, Sean White's had a phenomenal camp from a freshman quarterback standpoint. Now, he's not ready to play tomorrow, but, I mean, he's been very impressive, not only throwing the ball, but just mentally, from a maturity standpoint as a freshman. He's handled a lot of things, because you got to understand, Nick, Jeremy, and Jonathan, they already been exposed to everything, so we went a little quicker than, you know, normal. It wasn't like starting from ground zero. I mean, he had to kind of play catch up and go at their speed, and I thought, you know, by now practice 20 or wherever we're at, it's starting to slow down for him, so that's been impressive. You know, from the running back standpoint, we've given both those two new running backs a lot of carries, and I thought they've gotten better and better. You know, I think Rock got a bulk of the load in that second scrimmage, and then Cameron Petway yesterday, and they both had really good scrimmages in those second scrimmages for themselves. Jaquel Mitchell athletically is exactly what we thought. He needs to put on some weight to be an every down player at the spot we play him at in our league, but he's even more athletic than I thought he'd be. And coming off of an injury where he didn't play for a year, that's been a really pleasant surprise. You know, Stanton Troop was already here. Myron Burton at wideout has missed some time early in camp with a nagging hamstring, but he's back, and he's practiced over the last week. And I think, you know, we're pretty deep at receiver right now, so where he ends up this year, I don't know, but we're really excited about his future. And then, you know, Braden Smith, I'm going to keep calling him the Hulk. Okay, I live in superhero world with my kids, so he's the Hulk, and he's, you know, he can really move and bend for a big guy, and he's really strong. So he's had a good camp. I don't know if there's anybody I'm leaving out. But all those guys, we feel like they're going to have a chance to help us either now or in the future.
Jeremy's talked quite a bit about how close he is with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I know they call each other brothers. What do you notice about them on and off the field that makes them so tight, and how they have each other's back?
They really do a good job of pulling for each other, and that's hard at quarterback because only one plays. At receiver, running back, line, all, you know, you got too deep or you go in multiple sets, and it's tough. And you know, last year I challenged the guys when we didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. There was 4 of them. I said, man, you know, however you guys handle this thing in this room is going to bleed over to how our team handles it. You guys got that task having to pull for each other and still at the same time compete against each other. And from the moment Nick was named the starter, and then we named Jeremy the backup, and Wally the third, those 3 guys have been tight and pulled for each other in a genuine, honest way ever since. And it was that way all last year. They enjoy hanging out together, you know, and so then they, I've even teased them before about their bromance on Instagram. So, you know, they're just good friends. They get along. They're good in meetings. They're good on the practice field. I've never one time thought that one was, you know, had any ulterior motives over the other. They get along, and I think that's been a huge plus for our team.
What do you think? How do you guys see Rock? Is he an all-around back or a speed guy? Or
yeah, he's an all-around back. You know, he's like any freshman. He's not going to be as physically fit now as he will be in a year or 2 years. So, was he physically ready to carry it like Trey did 30 times or something in a game? Well, no. But, you know, when Trey was a freshman, he was not an every down guy, and he was outside the tackle more, and then you saw how he bulked up. Corey Grant's another good example. He's rocked up now, and he can run anywhere. So we'll see how Rock and Peyton Barber and how those 2 guys factor in. They both really had a good camp. And so we've got 4 guys right there, and then you got Petway that you can't have enough running backs in this league. And but, you know, we'll just see what Rock's role is. But he will be an every down back. He's not that small. He's still, what, 5'11", close to 200 pounds. So he's a thick kid.
You talking about Corey, how different is he at running back than the guy that you saw when you first got here?
You know, Corey was still bigger when I remember when we were recruiting Corey out of high school and I was here the first time. He was exactly what you thought. You thought, hey, he's a scat back and a sprinter, you know. And then when I got back the second time, I guess it was last spring, I noticed he was bigger. But boy, with Coach Russell in the last year and a half, he's he's thick, and the incredible thing is he's not lost any of his speed. He's put on all that mass. You saw last year he was running some guys over instead of running out of bounds. He's very capable running between the tackles now, which I think is plus for us with our depth. And it's just impressive. He is a thick, big, strong back that can fly. So.
Jaquel had a pretty impressive touchdown in the play. I saw some pictures and
Yep.
players mentioned it. What do you see he can do? Obviously, losing Gage was kind of a deficit. Do you think he's somebody that maybe can provide that, boost out of the backfield a little bit?
Yeah, he did a good job of running scared for that touchdown. I mean, there was about 5 people after him. But Jaquel has had a good camp. He came in, and like any freshman, and at his position, they move around a lot and do a lot of things. The first week was kind of crazy for him, but I'm really proud of him because he stayed the course, he focused in. He's a physical guy. I mean, he is not scared of anybody. He's, 215 pounds, and he'll hit the biggest guy on our team in the mouth as hard as he can and not back down. He's very athletic, can really fly, really good in space. And, he's played that position before. He played that at Opelika with Coach Blackman, so he's familiar with it. He's just now got to pick up the mental aspect, and physically, we're not going to put 20, 30 pounds on him before the season. So, we'll see where that puts him this year. But the first week of camp, I'd have probably told you I don't know if he's going to be ready this year. Now at the end of camp, I think he's got a chance to help us. And what role and capacity, that could depend on injuries and whatnot. But, he's definitely somebody in the mix.
Outside of Duke, among the newcomers, who do you think have the potential at least to contribute this on offense?
Just a wide receiver or anywhere?
Or anywhere newcomers, yeah.
At running back, you've got the 2 new backs that are still fighting to see if they can get on the field in kind of that third back slot. I think Braden Smith will help us. I mean, he's not starting right now, but he's going to be in our 2 deep. There's no secret there, and I think he's probably on some teams. I'm not sure about that, but Braden's someone who physically is ready and could potentially help us this year. Jaquel, like I said, we'll just have to see. He does have 2 seniors ahead of him. But in our league, it's a physical league, and that's a physical position. We've got to keep bringing him along. And then at receiver, it just remains to be seen, where Myron Burton and Stanton Truitt, a lot of them will depend on where they're on special teams. If they're on a lot of teams, that may give them more time. If they're not, we'll have to see. But Truitt definitely has a little bit of an advantage because he was here in the spring. So he's a little bit ahead of the game probably there. And they play different positions, though, so that also factors in. I'm trying to think.
What about Chris Lay?
Chris Lay, he's had a really good spring, good fall camp. His position is one that I think we haven't made the for sure decision, but it'd probably be good for him to have a year in the weight room to bulk up with having CJ and Brandon ahead of him. If it was a situation where we needed immediate help, it might be different, but we'll make that call probably for sure early this week, but I'm not sure if he'll factor in unless we have injuries just yet.
Is Braden being looked at as a tackler guard? Because Coach Grimes was saying that Devontae's probably the next guard up, and in that case, Avery would probably move back outside, so it's Braden.
Braden's worked exclusively at tackle all camp. Now, I think he's capable of playing either one. He played guard in high school. He's played tackle for us, and we've just tried to, being a freshman, we've tried to put him in one spot, not move him, and hopefully you can do that throughout the year. But injuries happen, and you may have to mix and match people. But we've kept him exclusively at tackle. Devontae's been exclusively at guard.
Left side or right side?
He's been primarily on the left side.
How's the offensive line come together? Getting Chad back out after he missed a couple of days. Have you seen those guys start to kind of form that bond?
I have. It's been good. Chad, he's played a lot of ball, and he's played on both sides before, so that helps. I think Avery have played on the right side in the spring, helped him quite a bit. And him and Pat have done some things together on that side in the spring, so that was a positive. So definitely the continuity has really improved there, and having your Rockets center helps. He makes all the calls, he kind of makes things go. So having Reese there, I think, helped keep that glue there as well.
Rhett, thinking back to last year at this time with Jeremy and now Sean, how do you think they kind of compare in their knowledge of the offense? You kind of look.
Both of them came in and impressed you with their arm talent. I mean, they can both really spin it, really throw the ball. They can make every throw on the field, big arms. They're different. They're both athletic. I mean, Jeremy's a little different. He was a really good high school basketball player. But Sean's a pretty good athlete now. I mean, he's deceptive. He will sneak up on you. I mean, he can do some things with his feet. He can really extend the play and keep things alive. He has great anticipation. I mean, Sean can, for a young guy learning a system, he can really anticipate a throw and make it happen. So they're very comparable. They both came in. You know, Jeremy had played in a similar style offense. Sean also is very bright. So I was impressed with both, how quickly they were able to grasp things. Because really, usually with a freshman quarterback, in the first week to 10 days, you know, okay, he's just it's too fast for him. He can't pick it up. He's just not ready. And neither one of those guys did they come in the first week to 10 days that I think they're not ready. There was no fear in both of them. They attacked it. They competed like they wanted to play. And I think that's why Jeremy was in the mix last year, and I think that's why Sean has, at least warranted him to be in the conversation this year if we needed him.
Ray, would you prefer for him not to play, Sean?
Yeah. No, I would. That means those other two are healthy, you know. So it's kind of one of those, you can travel him. If Nick and Jeremy stay healthy and playing well, you would love to not waste a year on coming at the end of a game to hand the ball off. But, you know, situations dictate things sometimes out of your control. So what I've told him is you got to continue to progress and, you know, not just kind of know what's going on for you, but continue to learn the offense and be ready when your number's called. It could be week 1, week 9. You know, hopefully, in a perfect world, it's not till after this season. But he's got to prepare himself and be ready.
Right. How did things change for you guys once you start to shift into the game week mode offensively?
It changed a lot. You get a little more detailed, personnel-wise. You get more specific on what you rep. You don't just call plays and rep things, because now we've kind of been able to evaluate everybody. We're going to put them where they need to be, and now we can really focus in on a game plan and scheme, and we're not going against our defense as much. So, you know, our defense is maybe nothing like Arkansas. We may not be anything like Arkansas to them. So we'll really be specific on what we're calling into what looks to make sure we're maximizing every rep and every moment to give our guys a picture of what we expect to see to some degree on 2 weeks from Saturday or from yesterday. So it really just gets more narrowed down, more specific, very detailed, not a lot of wasted motion of any kind. Guys that aren't going to be in the mix aren't getting reps, and that's just the way it is. And so we can really just kind of hone in on exactly what we want to carry. So for a guy like a true freshman, he's learned the whole book, or at least what we put into this point. Well, now he can narrow down and learn, for the most part, a freshman can learn the game plan. You know, and you got to make adjustments in game. Our older guys are prepared to do that. We can maybe do something in a game that we hadn't repped in the last week or two, but man, we got to do that. A younger guy, he can really zero in and just, hey, if I know this game plan, probably the amount of time I'll be playing, I could be okay, and it condenses things for him.
What does the rep split start to look like at quarterback? Is it going to start looking like 75-25? Does Nick get first team reps at all? What does it start looking like?
Yeah, you know, talking to Coach, I think probably here in the next couple of days we'll go ahead and decide how we want to handle that. We have not made a decision yet. Both those guys have repped and had a good fall camp, and so I think just probably pretty soon, at least internally, we'll know how we're going to handle it, and then Coach will address that when he's ready, and we'll have a good plan.
Beyond week 1, when it comes to Jeremy, he talks about always having a package. Does the package change every week? Or
Yeah.
you guys, and how do you guys approach that week to week with him when you're trying to get everything done?
There's a couple things. You know, you got to know your guys. There's certain things that maybe Jeremy does just exceptionally well that you feel like, man, he could do those things and have good success with it. Because the hardest thing, you know, we tried. A&M's a good example last year. We weren't quite sure if Nick was going to be able to go. Dick didn't practice till Thursday. Jeremy got all the reps. So we kind of already made a commitment when we knew Nick was going to be able to give it a go. Well, Jeremy's going to take these plays, you know, just because Nick didn't get to rep them, and it was still only like game 6 for Nick. Well, you get in the game and Nick's playing really well, and we're trying to force feed some things, and it's really tough on both guys. The guy who's in the game, you're taking him out of rhythm, and the guy running in the game to run a play or two. So I think you got to take that into consideration. Try to put him in a position that he can be successful, even if he's only in for a little bit. But we'll see. It's week to week. We have no preconceived plan that this is exactly what's going to happen. It's a game plan deal based on our opponent and kind of what we think will help us win.
Rhett, the players have talked a lot about Nick and how he responded to what happened, and leadership and all that stuff. Have you maybe even been a little bit surprised by how he reacted?
Honestly, I haven't been surprised. I would say I'd be disappointed if he didn't handle it this way. He's handled it very well. You know, we get close to our players. It's kind of like your kids, man. They're going to mess up, and you get disappointed in them, but you love them. And then you know, we all go through things in life. We face adversity. It's how you handle it is what matters. You can't do anything about it. I think he's handled it extremely well to this point. Fully expect him to continue to do that. That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to handle himself well. But I've been really proud of him. And I think, you know, what his teammates say should probably speak volumes of kind of how he's handled everything.
Is there any chance you guys make a decision to go ahead and start him based off what he's done in preseason?
You know, that's up to coach. You know, I would think that's his call.
Rhett, what would you say to the perception that Nick maybe didn't understand what it means to be the face of a program coming into the season? It seems like he's kind of learned that from experience now.
You know, we're all human. I think he understands. I think he made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I've made them. You've all made them. I mean, so I don't think we need to make more than what it is. It was a mistake. He's owned up to it, and he's done a great job moving forward.
Rhett, there have been multiple times where you just mentioned, well, hey, we feel fine if we had to put Jonathan Wallace in there to win games for us. But what is it that put Sean above him on the depth chart? I mean, Gus said yesterday Sean's clearly the number 3.
Yeah, well, I think that speaks highly of Sean more than it does negatively of Jonathan. Jonathan's solid. You know, we've put Jonathan in a lot of other scenarios this fall camp to try to get him involved in more ways to help our team. So, you know, Jonathan hadn't been with me as much. Now, he's 100% a quarterback, but he's been doing special teams and other things. And so Sean's gotten also more reps at times because we're trying to see, is he ready? Where's he at? He's the new guy. We've got a lot of information on Jonathan. So I think we're in a great situation. We feel like we got 4 quarterbacks that we could play an SEC game with, 3 that we know we could, Nick, Jeremy, and Jonathan, because they've done it. And then Sean, you never know what you're going to get with a true freshman. And like, you know, I was saying, you hope you don't have to play him this year. But he's done enough in the first 20 days of practice to warrant being in the conversation. If we get to a scenario where we need him, you know, we feel like it's not where the moment will be too big for him. So it's just a matter of he's just performed exceptionally well. We've had Jonathan in some other roles. We feel like we got 4 guys that will travel, and if we need to put him in the game, I do have confidence in Jonathan.
If you needed to have somebody just finish the game with Jonathan, still be that guy.
You know, you would think if the other 2 guys are healthy, that would make sense. And, you know, who knows? We weren't in many situations like that last year. We like to take them all the way down the wire. But, yeah, I mean, that would definitely be a situation where you would not burn a red shirt on a young man just to get him a quarter of action, handing the ball off a lot at the end of a game. So Jonathan still definitely could easily do that and be called upon to play if we need it.
So I was curious, Brett, having said all that, I mean, this is the 3rd quarterback, then why say that Sean is 3rd? If Jonathan's going to be the guy at the end of the game, if Sean was to be the guy to go in 3rd in the event of, like, complete disaster, why come out and say it now as opposed to just that being the case? But like, why not? It almost seems like you guys are moving Jonathan down, but Sean may not play anyway, so, like, why even say it?
Well, no, I disagree because you've got to prepare your team. And Sean's got to prepare. He's going to take 13 type reps, which isn't a lot in a game week, but there still are times that you take those. So he needs to know, Jonathan needs to know, our team needs to know where we stand. We got to have a plan going in. And he's going to take reps and prepare to be that guy in that spot. And so we just feel like he's earned that right, and that's what we're going to do.
Now that you got a couple weeks in, what do you think of the way Nick's thrown it this camp?
Well, I've been really, really proud of the way he's thrown, to be honest with you. Overall, he's probably had 2 days that I thought were poor days.